Welcome back to the series. Let's build a Tetris-Like with Unreal Engine 5. Today I plan on making this, the player board, and well, I already did it, but I'm going to walk you through how I did it. So I went down here into the C++ classes, did the right click, new C++ class, created the player board. From there I closed the editor and I did a compile. Just to make sure that it worked. I actually added a couple of things to the player board just to make sure that they would get pulled over to the blueprint. And then I right-clicked this and went to create blueprint, saved it in my blueprints, and there it is right there. So what's happening is in C++, I realized that I would need a mesh. I made that the root, and then I need collision for the left, right, top, and bottom, and a camera. So to do this in C++, let's go look at some code. Need these. Okay, so these are all going to be U properties. I made them blueprint read write so that, I could edit them in blueprints, but I wanted it to be only in the defaults. I don't want this stuff to be something that you can change on an instance. And I gave it the category of attributes just because, well, they're attributes and it starts with A, so it puts all the categories up at the top. So I created U box components. They got to be pointers, make sure you remember that. And I made those for the left, right, top, and bottom. I created a mesh, which is a U static mesh component in C++, also a pointer. And I created this U spring arm component, but you know what? You don't really need a spring arm if you're not moving around in a world where things might get in the way of the camera. This is going to be a floating board, so I guess I don't really need that. And then none of this will actually show up in Unreal until you fill it out in the constructor. So the first thing you got to do is you set the mesh that you created in the header file. You have to do create default subobject, use static mesh component, and use the text macro to name it something. And this is how it'll show up in the blueprint when you're editing it and stuff. And then I set the board mesh to the root component. This is a part that comes with the pawn, which is the type that I'm using to create the player board. All right, so what else? So then I did the left collision. And then from that point forward, if you want to have them in the hierarchy, you have to set up attachment using the arrow syntax since it is a pointer. And I just set everything to the root component. So box colliders, left, right, top, and bottom. I'm not sure I'm going to need the top, but I think to prevent the player from popping the tetraminnows out of the player area, I want to have a top collider so that things can drop in but not come out. The way I have this set up, it's going to be set up, is that you can move the piece anywhere, up, down, left, right. It's not going to be like Tetris where it's like always dropping down. Things are going to be timed, and that's going to be where like the difficulty comes in. I haven't decided. It might be like a drop timer or something like that. But that's probably one of my only issues with Tetris is that when things drop too quickly, you don't have enough time to move them. All you can do is left and right, really. So if you can go up, there's a chance that let me pull up the drawing board here. Drawing, turn on. So if you have a board, you have tetraminnows going down like this, and the tetraminnow drops right here, you may still have time to move it around, and you can kind of spin it, and sometimes you can climb mountains in regular Tetris, but I always felt like, if it's gonna be dropped on you anyway, you could have like a drop timer and then give the player complete control over left, right, and up and down. That's how I do it anyway. And plus, since I'm going to be doing an auto rotate thing, I think that's going to be perfectly fine. All right, so there we go. And then we just have a standard camera. It doesn't need to be a matinee camera or anything like that, at least not yet. I think a matinee camera might give me more ability to kind of animate the camera, but I don't know that I need a matinee camera for that. That's something I need to look up more. But for my purposes early on, just a regular U camera component will be fine. All right, so I made some changes there. Let's close down the editor, sure we can save, and we'll compile real quick. And I'll let this finish, and I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so after you do all of that, your blueprint up here, and it's not showing the stuff that I added. So your blueprint should reflect that stuff, but it appears that it's not reading the code automatically. So I'm just going to kick off live coding and see if that fixes it. If not, I might have to go through the editor again. All right, there it is. So there's the attributes. That's what I named them. And then this is everything that I need to set. So to set this up in the blueprint, you just click on each of these, or I think you can set it from there. No, I guess not. But I click on the board mesh and I just drag the active slice mesh that I made in a previous video over here. So we have the active slice, and now we need to set up collision. So this is the left collider. Let's believe that we need an extent of 50, 50, and 500. Sounds right. Have snapping at 50. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing for this one. 50, 50. That is the right collider, right? Yeah. And 500. Top collision. So what is it? Y will need to be probably 600. Nope, not Y. 50 X 600. I think 50 here. Yeah, 600 is perfect. So that's the top collider. Bottom will be exactly the same. 600, 50, and 50. Move it into place. All right, so we have our collision set up. Last thing is the camera. So let's go into rotation here. We'll rotate it 90. Go back into movement. Yeah, it's not giving me the preview. I think it usually does, but maybe not this time. Let's go for a bit of an up angle. Just slightly to make it look like it's really huge. That might be too much. Are we in local? Are we in local? Between world space, yeah, we're in world now. It's working. Or is that moving it back? Or back at an angle? No, it's not. It's just my perspective. Okie dokie, so let's compile, save. Let's drag one of these into our world and see what it looks like. Oh, look at that. The Maybe I didn't set up the parent properly. Because the collision is not going with the mesh. Okay, so let me do some debugging and I'll figure this out. Okay, I don't know what the actual problem was. All I did was I went in, or I closed the editor and reopened it, and now it seems to be working. So when I drag this in, everything seems to be parented properly. We look at, yeah, the collision and everything is moving with the mesh, which is the parent. So that's good. Let's put this all at the world origin now, 0, 0, 0. Let me click that. Okay, so this is our preview of the camera. The full screen. Actually, what do I need to do? I need to set this to auto possess. Auto possess players 0. Perfect. That should do it. So now when I hit play, I should possess this pawn, which is the player board, and I should see this no matter where I actually start in the pie menu. All right, fantastic. And I believe F11? Yeah. Okay. Not bad, not bad at all. Okay, so that's that. I think the next thing I'm going to do in the next video is probably create a queue of Tetraminos that will be on the left most likely. And then we'll have to have an active Tetramino. We can probably have a hold. I'm not sure if I want to give the ability to hold a Tetramino in this game, but I don't know. I'll have to think on that. But I'm going to end this here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.